just hosted this beautiful workshop about sacred geometry and Mahabali and the 8 Vasus, which was done for the Mahabali Pyramid currently being built here at Nuanu City, that will center around the story of Mahabali, the demon king, the righteous demon king, and his story of surrender to the divine and what it means for life, and the 8 Vasus, which are AI-generated personalities that tell the story in an installation. The beginning of creation comes from the supreme being. You could say it is represented as a dot in the circle, and it creates the duality, Vesica Pisces, then the Trinity, the 3 circles, which relates to the Trinity, Trimurti, Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, the destroyer, the main Trinity in Hinduism. And that goes on to create the seed of life, which then expands to the flower of life, down to the fruit of life, to the Metatrons cube, which then embodies all the information like a blueprint about the higher dimensional geometries that explain how this reality functions as building blocks. And here we see the Platonic solids in 2D, and here we see them in 3D. And these were known by the ancient Greeks as the 5 elements: fire, water, earth, air, and ether. 5 of the Vasus, and then 3 other of the Vasus are sun, moon, and stars. Now the story of Mahabali is all about how the lineage was created of the Asuras and the Devas, the demons and the angels, as this mythological duality of extreme opposites, originally coming from the same family. And it's that divine play between the two that creates these battles and wars and stories that you see throughout Hindu culture. And Mahabali was the great-grandson of Prahlada, who was the son of one of the biggest demon kings, and which originally were actually gatekeepers of Vishnu in the divine realm, but had to come down because they denied the entrance of some sages. So they had to go through this karmic retribution and had to be killed by Vishnu in various ages. Mahabali comes from that lineage, and he was actually a very good king. People in his kingdoms were very happy. He was the kingdom of the 3 realms. This created an imbalance in the universe, and the angels did not like that. The universal order had to be restored, had to be sustained. So the sustainer god came down as a Brahmin dwarf. The dwarf comes up to Bali and would like to have 3 feet of land as a gift. He granted the wish. What next happened? The dwarf transformed into the huge being Vishnu, the big divine sustainer, as big as the galaxy. And with 1 step, he claimed the earth. With the 2nd step, the heavens. And then he asked him with the 3rd step, where do you want me to place that? And Mahabali was surrendering and all. He said, you can place it on my head. Vishnu placed it on his head and pushed him into the underworld, out of the earth. I will grant you also a wish, which is coming back to the earth, where you can see your people, and that's why people celebrate Nyepi, the day of silence in Bali. These 5 shapes were originally associated with the 5 elements. While the ancient Greeks gave it a particular way of looking at these elements, we have created a different model that defines how they actually nest. If you think about the earth, inside the earth, the fire, then you have the ocean, then you have the land above, then you have the air, and then you have the electromagnetic field of the earth, which is electricity. The octahedron you can place inside of what we call water, so that's right here, which is actually, this shape is a tetrahedron, which is the form of water, the molecule of water, H2O. The tetrahedron or star tetrahedron, which you can see here, will fit inside of the cube. While the octahedron defines each center of the face, the star tetrahedron defines each corner. So they're inside the earth. You could say the 2 types of elements are below. So this fits inside of here, fits inside of here. Then the cube itself, right inside of the dodecahedron, and then the dodecahedron can fit inside the icosahedron, which means the whole set exists inside of the ether. If certain shapes create a space like Tetris, it can fill a space uniformly. And in science, we do know that the universe is actually flat. We can measure distances of planets by straight lines, Pythagorean geometry that defines where stars are. The cube can create an infinite amount of cubes together and it will fill a space. Think about it like the hall of mirrors. I can look into a mirror, and if the mirror is flat, I can see myself clearly. But if the mirror is bent, then my arm starts to warp. That's not the case in reality. Everything seems flat, so we have a grid where the geometry can repeat itself and just uniformly fills a space. So that is known as the Earth, a dimension of existence. Also, the octahedron over here can fill space as well. I can put 6 of those together and it creates this, or it can continue this pattern and it creates this. But it doesn't do it all by itself. So what you need to do is you need to fill the gaps with tetrahedrons, and it creates a bigger version of itself in combination with another shape. And it also creates a dimension of existence based on the octahedron, which we would call fire. So that would be the underworld. The next shape that can do this as well is actually the tetrahedron. If we're placing all tetrahedra together in combination with the octahedron, it can also create a larger version of its form, and that creates another type of space. In Hinduism, there's actually several underworlds. We would call this the water world, which seems to be even more beautiful than Earth itself, where currently Mahabali resides. There is a shape that's called a semi-irregular polyhedron, transformation of platonic solids into Archimedean solids. These are not the same symmetry, so they have 2 different faces. This is a truncated octahedron, and it also creates a space. If you think about the corners, much more corners than the cube, and they say about heaven that it's much more colorful. Now this realm in the geometric blueprint is actually separated by another form. When the blueprint expands, you can see here and you can see the cube, and these overlap, they create a compound, and that compound contains one shape that is known as the vector equilibrium. The number of faces equates to the number of corners. So this has 12 faces and this has 12 corners. When you put this into a compound, the outer corners connect and they will create this very funky shape. It looks like a cube, but really it's not. This is kind of like a higher dimensional cube. We're coming to the conclusion that these shapes can all fill space. The octahedron together with the tetrahedron, the fire realm, the tetrahedron together with the octahedron, the water realm. The cube can do this as well, and it sits right in the middle. Then you have the heaven on the outside that encompasses it all, and it can fill the space. And in between, kind of as a boundary, as the gatekeepers, we have this dimension, the dimension of ether, you could say, and it separates heaven and earth. So this is a mythological story made visible through geometry, explaining how Mahabali and the 3 realms, these 3 realms, make sense with geometry, the ruler of the underworld, the earth and the heavens, and how he fell into the underworld and is bound to return to actually become the king of the ether, which is this one, due to his amazing karma. The Mahabali Pyramid is going to embed all of this information between culture, the Hindu knowledge, and geometry in one beautiful installation. We're living in an order, that we're living under divine law, and that there's karma, and that there's purpose, that we are able to evolve beyond our everyday habits to understand that there's a broader picture going on, and how to align ourselves with that picture to become in harmony with humans, nature, and God,